Welcome in, everyone, and thank you for listening to the 271st ever episode, 72nd ever episode of the Missouri Sports Podcast, brought to you by 106 Apparel and recording from the MSP studio in beautiful Springfield, Missouri. I'm one of your hosts, Cameron Albert, alongside my good friend and fellow Mizzou fan, Kyle DeVries. How you doing today, Kyle?
I'm doing great, Cameron. I would like to wish you a happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks.
Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours.
Thank you.
And everyone listening.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
We're thankful for you.
Is that one of your favorite holidays?
It's fine, yeah. I mean, it's probably better than 4th of July, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
I can't do the fireworks for 3 weeks straight.
No, I'm kind of over fireworks in general, honestly.
Wow. Okay, I don't know if I'd go that far.
I want to see more of those drone shows.
Okay, that's the next
for the holidays.
Thing. Okay. Yeah. For Thanksgiving too.
It's more pet friendly, loud noises.
Very considerate.
Yeah. We've just been embracing the holiday season. So our Christmas tree's been up.
It's just all at once.
Yep. We're just doing Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. It's all just kind of wintry, Christmassy vibe.
That's acceptable.
So I do enjoy that Thanksgiving food. I used to, as a kid, I was really picky and, just kind of an annoying little kid. Huh? Exactly, yeah.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Nowadays, just pile it all up, gravy all over it, mix it together.
Just one big stew.
Yeah, get a bite of each thing on your fork. Yeah. People told me that when I was a kid, and I just didn't believe them.
Wasted years.
So far, Kyle, it's been a November to remember. Coach Drinkwitz said something about when they were playing well in October, the football team, they've set up a potential November to remember. And I'd say Mizzou football and basketball has lived up to that in different ways. We will remember this November.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know where you're going with that.
We've got a lot to talk about. We are going to talk about the basketball team and the roller coaster that has been so far. And we're going to talk about Mizzou football getting that big game-winning field goal from Harrison Mevis and the finale of the regular season against Arkansas. Before we do all of that, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, leave us a review wherever you listen to us, and of course, you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Missouri Sports Pod. So unfortunately, basketball's up first here, Kyle, and we don't have to spend a ton of time on it. Still super early in the season, but the last two games were exactly. Mizzou beat Minnesota, game-winning bucket from Sean East, 70-68, and then followed that up with one of the worst performances on a basketball court you can possibly have.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, things were all good after the Minnesota game. Just the wildest comeback. They were down by 20 points with 11 minutes to go in the game.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was magical.
Yeah.
On the road at a Big Ten opponent.
Yeah. It felt like the kind of game that you could kind of turn the corner and maybe you figured some stuff out rotation-wise and execution-wise in that second half. It was it was an interesting game. Missouri's games so far this year have been a struggle to get through at times, but then there's stretches where they look really good and just they're way too inconsistent right now, obviously. Early on in the Minnesota game, I noticed the refs were letting them get away with a lot of contact, especially in the paint, and it felt like Minnesota was taking advantage of that more than Missouri was early. But also Minnesota was taking advantage of not missing a shot from the field for quite a while. Minnesota had a 23-7 run, sort of end of the first half, well into the second half, where Missouri was just ice cold from the field. But, and somewhere in that run, Caleb Grill got ejected from the game. He got teed up for yelling and slapping the floor in response to a no call.
Yeah, he slapped the floor, got the technical foul for that individually, and then stood up and kind of got in the ref's face and a little bit of a bump.
Yeah.
And okay.
Yeah, even just your description of it right there sounds more severe than it actually was. But he bumped him barely. And you just cannot do that. So he got ejected, and Minnesota
and then Missouri promptly mounted a comeback immediately after that.
Exactly, yeah. Minnesota led 59-39 with 12 minutes left, and Missouri goes on a 27-8 run. And I was trying to, we're still trying to figure out the rotations and everything. That's what we're watching in some of these early games. And that run, that Missouri run, they were riding with Honor East Carter, the freshmen Robinson, Pierce, and Butler, and then Tamar Bates and Kurt Lewis. So those 8 guys were kind of the biggest part of that second half against Minnesota. Honor got that streak, or got that run going with some clutch threes. Pierce hit a 3, had a bucket down low. Carter had an and one. Bates was getting to the line. And yeah, they just kind of slowly mounted this comeback to get back in it. And then at the very end of the game, Minnesota freshman guard took a weird long 3 when I think they were up 1 or tied.
Yeah. Just bricked off the backboard, didn't even hit the rim.
Yeah, which that could have been a disaster, because sometimes those insane misses, you never know what's going to happen on the rebound. But it went right to a Missouri player. And then Sean East ends up with the ball and gets an and one to take the lead. And Minnesota is not able to hit a shot at the buzzer to win it. And it just looks like, okay, we've turned a corner here. We've fought back in this tough environment. I really enjoyed watching the game with that environment. I thought it was really fun. During the long stretch where Missouri couldn't score, I was like thinking, why did I think this was fun? This is actually awful. But just an incredible environment to go out and win a game on the road against a Big Ten school.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of interesting seeing like different arenas and stuff, like maybe older arenas too, and how they're laid out a little bit. It kind of had an old school feel to it a little bit. But yeah, that was a huge win, and kind of felt like we were on top of the world for a minute there. Just coming back to beat anybody in that way, I don't care who it is. Like that can be kind of light a spark for the games that follow, and I kind of thought that might happen, and didn't happen.
No. Missouri then proceeds to lose to previously the best 0-5 team in the country, Jackson State. They're no longer winless. Missouri lost 73-72. I don't even know how to talk about this game.
This is like on par with that Charleston Southern game that haunts your dreams from a few years ago.
Yeah, this is probably going to take the place of it.
Might be worse.
Yeah. This is one of the worst losses for Missouri, like in the Kim Pom era, when you're looking at those rankings and stuff. Just, a bye game where we paid Jackson State to come to our place and hopefully lose, and they did not, do their end of the bargain there. They won the game.
Yeah, it just felt like I honestly didn't even catch the whole game, but it just felt like they were going to pull away eventually. It was just like, this is ugly, but they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Oh, they'll be fine. And then Jackson State just was playing hard, man. They were just hung around the whole time.
Yeah, and Missouri kind of did pull away. I mean, it's a bit subjective, but in this game, I would consider up 6 with a minute left.
That's
like
true.
They kind of did, in the ugliest way possible, they kind of did what they needed to do there towards the end to win the game.
Yeah, I don't know what Kim Pom says exactly, but I'd guess probably 97% win probability.
I'll check it out.
By the end of that. And just totally were careless with the ball and bad fouls and stuff to close it out, and we're really cold.
Yeah, 97.9% to win with 3 minutes left, and then about the same thing with 1 minute left. The last minute there was so strange. Jackson State missed a free throw. Honor throws it up the court to Butler, who had basically a wide open dunk opportunity. He does not go up strong with it. Waits a beat, gets fouled, misses both free throws. And Missouri is still up 4 with 37 seconds left. And there was a play in there where I think maybe up 2, Grill turns it over.
There was at one point too, I can't remember who did it, but there was like an and one under the basket where whoever the Missouri defender was just totally got beat and just did one of those really weak fouls where they don't even alter the shot at all. They barely touch the player and when he's shooting. And like, honestly, it's probably not a foul. Like, I don't even know why those get called so often. But it's like either get out of the way or foul him so hard that he can't make the shot.
Right.
Like, make up your mind.
It's like weak contact that doesn't alter anything.
Yes. So that's the worst possible thing that could happen there.
Yeah. So it was just kind of basically a meltdown there at the end.
Yeah.
And I listened to Coach Gates' press conference afterwards, and man, getting started with basketball season and listening to some of those press conferences after listening to Coach Drinkwitz talk about the football team for almost an entire season, Coach Gates does not give you a lot to work with.
He seemed probably pretty unbothered by what was going on.
He did seem pretty unbothered, and just a lot of coach speak and a lot of obviously he defends the players, which you love to see, but I feel like maybe just that's more normal. That's what people should expect, and what we get from Coach Drink is just a little bit more, which we've kind of known. But
yeah, Coach Drink, his press conferences are actually worth watching.
Yeah.
And I don't know that you could say that about very many coaches.
Yeah, I don't know how many more of these Coach Gates press conferences I'm going to watch, but yeah, he wasn't giving you a lot of X's and O's breakdowns of what went wrong there. Yeah, just can't happen. I mean, to even try to diagnose what went wrong, it's like they kind of played and coached this game like it is a tune-up game, basically, but not understanding the fact that, or they probably understand, but from a fan's perspective, like this kind of loss will keep a bubble team out of the NCAA tournament.
Oh, for sure.
No matter what kind of like turnaround you might have in a season, this being a loss, a bad loss, quad 4 loss when it's all said and done, most likely.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That'll keep you out of the tournament if it's questionable.
Yeah, I mean, we already knew that the margin for error would probably be pretty small coming into the season. There was a pretty good chance Missouri would be like a bubble team caliber type team coming in. And so, yeah, this is pretty crushing for any hopes of making the tournament. And, you know, maybe they figure out the rotation, maybe, you know, whatever. They can win some games that they're not favored in and stuff down the stretch. But yeah, this puts you in a hole for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, it kind of does put a little bit of a damper on the rest of the season, but
we've talked about how this team is just going to be really streaky all year long. They're going to beat some teams they shouldn't beat. Maybe that already happened against Minnesota. I don't know. They're going to lose some games that they feel like they probably shouldn't lose. It feels like right now there's a lot of individuals playing, and they aren't mixing super well, and the rotations feel a little scattered, and sometimes I feel like I don't totally agree with who's on the floor, and some of the combinations. I'm like, what is this combination that we have on the floor? It's just like there's no offensive threat here. It's just I don't really like this. And obviously I'm not the coach, and that doesn't matter. But that's what these games are about, is figuring out what works and what didn't. I think we have definitely figured out what's not working, hopefully, in those rotations. But man, I think I'd still just like to see more Trent Pierce and get some of these young guys minutes. I thought Pierce kind of helped spark the game-winning comeback against Minnesota.
Yeah,
really great minutes. Just he's all over the place. He can, like, in a good way. He can shoot the 3 ball, and he can rebound down low and everything. So I think I obviously seem like his biggest fan at this point. So
against Jackson State, he entered the game, but not long enough to even register as playing a minute in the box score.
Yeah, I don't really get that.
I watched the possession that he was in there, and it was like basically one defensive possession that he was in the game, and he maybe made a bad read on what he should have done defensively, and Jackson State did score on the one possession that he was in the game, and then he did not see the floor the rest of the game. So we know that, even going back to the Konzo era, it seems like Coach Gates does the same thing, where he needs to see it from you on the defensive side of the floor. Even if you're not scoring, even if you are scoring, he needs to see it from you on the defensive side of the floor before committing to a bunch of minutes. And I feel like that's one of the reasons we've seen so much Anthony Robinson, is his versatility on defense, and he's blocked a few shots, come up with some good steals.
It is a little ironic, though, because defense is definitely not what this team does well. So
Exactly.
they leave guys open all the time on those like mishandled rotations and switches and stuff. So
Right.
I don't know. I'm sure it'll be fine, but this is a terrible loss.
Still talking about the rotations just a little bit. John Tonje starts the game but plays 7 minutes. Connor Vanover starts the game but plays 3 minutes. Coach Gates was asked about that, and he said, just going with who he thought was better in the moment. So now Tonje feels like the type of guy where he needs to be commanding minutes and showing that he is the offensive threat that this team is looking for if nobody else is going to step up. Another weird trend offensively, Sean East started the season in the first 3 games of the season shooting threes. He goes 2 for 3, 2 for 4, 2 for 3. Has not attempted a 3 in the last 2 games. And his just like he and Tamar Bates have the best shooting percentages from 2 or 3 on the team. And neither one of them are taking enough shots, in my opinion.
Yeah. Sean East just wanted to lead the country in 3-point shooting percentage at the end of the year.
Yeah.
He's done. He's got like a 70%.
Yeah, he's like 6 for 10. Just ended
I'm
there.
done.
Yeah. Missouri does drop to 87th in KenPom, which I think is like maybe 2nd or 3rd worst in the SEC currently. And there was a lot of talk about the SEC media, disrespecting this team by picking them 11th. So, yikes. We might be in for something like that. Who knows, though? They'll figure they will not look as bad as they did against Jackson State against that caliber of opponent again.
Yeah. They do play tonight, which we're recording on Wednesday, against another just terrible opponent. So
South Carolina State.
we should see if they bounce back a little bit. And by bounce back, I mean like win by 15, 20 points.
Yeah, South Carolina State is 347 in KenPom. Then they play Loyola, Maryland on Saturday, 317 in KenPom. So 2 opportunities to right the ship a little bit there. But then Tuesday, they've got the road matchup against Pittsburgh, who is 40th in KenPom. I believe that is the SEC ACC Challenge. So that game's on the road, and Pittsburgh has not played anybody yet, but they actually play Florida tonight on a neutral floor. So might have to check out some of that, see what Pittsburgh is up to. They've only played bad teams so far, but they've won those games. So that means something. And they are led by senior forward Blake Henson, who we have seen a few times now. I honestly didn't think when he left Ole Miss for Pittsburgh, I did not anticipate seeing him on our schedule again, but here he is.
He's got to be like 28 by now.
And they have a 6'11 center named Federico, who is pretty good, who I could see giving Missouri some problems down low.
Yeah, I mean, even Garcia for Minnesota,
Yeah.
I mean, Missouri pulled that game out, but he was giving them fits.
Yeah.
He's a good player.
Yeah. And just another guy for Pittsburgh that I like is freshman Carlton Carrington, top 100 4-star player. He's like a 6'5 guard.
Never mind.
They've got those alliteration names.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So, yeah, Pittsburgh's pretty good. I don't think there's anything Missouri can figure out between now and Tuesday to go on the road and knock off a top 40 team. But it's I was going to say it's possible that Pittsburgh just hasn't been challenged yet, but they get that Florida game tonight to kind of give them a taste.
Yeah.
Should we move on to happier things?
Sounds good to me.
The football team won. Much happier. Missouri beats Florida 33-31 on a Harrison Mevis game-winning field goal on senior night. That may not even be his last game winner. He may have 1 or 2 left in him.
He might have next season in him.
Might he?
I think he still has another year if he wants it.
Wow. He might be going to the NFL.
I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, he could probably be drafted, honestly, which is pretty rare for specialists.
Yeah, I'd like to see it happen. Yeah, senior night, incredible atmosphere, another sellout. Setting the stage, first thing we see tuning into the broadcast, we see that Darius Robinson he does not have his name on the back of his uniform for senior night. He has the word Mizzou on his uniform, replacing his last name. Just magical moment.
Mizzou legend for sure.
Yes, absolutely. And we talked about it a little bit last week, and it's a little bit easier knowing how this game ended. But the way this team has come together and just the little pieces fit together, the guys that returned, the transfers that we brought in, I don't know. It's just it's incredible to see a team and a coaching staff put the pieces together and everybody come together and just make a special season. Like, I don't know. We haven't had one of these since we've started doing this podcast.
That's true.
Which is insane.
Yeah, honestly. We've been doing this since what, 2017, 2018?
Something like that.
Yeah, they have not had a season that's even come close to this.
Sheesh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's like we felt like there were reasons to believe before the season started that maybe the stars were aligning a little bit. We obviously knew Brady Cook was going to have to elevate his play a lot, which he has done, and we knew if he could get the ball to some of these pieces, if the defense was even as close to as elite as they were last year, like, I mean, what am I missing here? This looks like this could be a pretty good year if we do what we need to do, and that's definitely happened. And there's been opportunities for it to be even better than it has been, but you can't argue with most likely a 10-win season.
Yeah, let me just give you the stats real quick. Brady Cook, 20 for 34 passing, 331 yards and a touchdown. Schrader, 23 carries for 148 and a touchdown. And then Luther Burden with a much-needed breakout game. It's been a little bit slow going for him the last few games, but 9 receptions for 158 yards. It was like almost a quiet 150 receiving. He had some plays, though, where he just... you would not think he has been dealing with any injuries whatsoever. Breaking tackles, the first guy is just almost never bringing him down.
Yeah.
He's incredible.
Yeah, you could probably make an argument that he's the best overall wide receiver in the country, but I would say easily he's the best after catch in the country.
Yeah.
Like, he's just so difficult to bring down. He's shifty. He's big, like just
strong. His balance is incredible.
Yes. So yeah, you saw that a few times against Florida where, he caught the ball and the guy, the secondary player, had a chance to make a play and just bounced off of him. And one play in particular where I thought he was going to get blown up, actually, like right whenever he was catching the ball. It looked like he maybe wasn't aware that the defender was right on him, and he just, like I said, just absolutely bounced off of the defender and like he was nothing, like he was a child.
It started out a little slow for both teams offensively. I mean, Missouri had that opening drive that was really solid, but they couldn't get in the end zone. Classic. Settled for a field goal there. And then Graham Mertz looked like he was going to just kind of roll through this game. Perfect opening drive, passing. Big gain to Pearsall. It was just a few of the things early on was like, yep, well, this is why we were a little bit concerned about Mertz and this Florida offense, especially with some of the injuries that Missouri was dealing with. And it felt like, and I was completely wrong sort of diagnosing the first half. It felt to me like, obviously, Florida got that early score, go up 7-3. Missouri battled back and defensively held Florida to barely even having a scoring opportunity after that in the first half. And so going into halftime, I thought like, okay, we got some momentum here. Couldn't get in the end zone, had to settle for field goals. But aside from that one big play to Pearsall that set up the touchdown, Missouri's defense was doing their job and make some adjustments, and let's just roll in the second half. That's not quite what happened. And Missouri got a couple breaks in the first half that, looking back, allowed it to be, it shouldn't have been a one-score game. It's very bizarre because, like, Missouri benefited from the tipped pass that Carlisle picked off, but at the same time couldn't get in the end zone. So it was like it very easily could have been like 14-20 Missouri, 14-10 Florida. It was just a very odd first half where both teams kind of making mistakes.
Yeah, I think you can see in this game like how much the turnovers make a difference. Like if you go a whole game without forcing a turnover, it's such an uphill battle comparatively.
Yeah.
And yeah, you said, I mean, Missouri had some breaks in this game. Like the tipped pass that turned into an interception. They fumbled it at least once or twice that Missouri recovered. And without even one less of those things, I don't know if Missouri wins this game.
Yeah.
And so they just felt like, in some ways that's kind of what good teams do, though, is they just find weird ways to magically pull games out whenever the other team is like, wow, we had this in our hands and let it slip away. It feels like we haven't done that a lot in the last 5 years where it's like we just kind of, I don't know how we pulled that off, but we won kind of stuff. But
yeah, and last year was the epitome of the opposite of that.
Sure.
It's like, how did we lose this game?
For sure.
Looked like early on that I was kind of thinking with how effective Schrader was early, it looked like maybe it was going to be one of these games where Brady Cook only throws the ball 20 times and Schrader has 30 carries and we just dominate the line of scrimmage, dominate the time of possession, all of that. It looked like it could have been one of those games, but they kind of slowed Schrader down a little bit. He did have that 41-yard touchdown in the first half.
Yeah, on like a play-to-play basis, honestly, it kind of felt like Florida's defense was playing better than they have all season.
Yeah.
With the exception of like some big plays. Obviously, Cody Schrader's 41-yard run, and then Theo Weiss had like the 70-plus yard touchdown that he just broke when it was like he caught it at the line of scrimmage and just was never touched again.
Honestly, really good play by Brady Cook there. I felt like he was always going to go back to Weiss. He like kind of looked Weiss's way, but he's covered. So Brady Cook looked down the field, got that defender to kind of move around a little bit, and that opened up Weiss. I thought that was a really good job by Cook to manipulate the defense, and then Weiss did the rest. I didn't know he was that fast.
Yeah,
honestly,
he turned on the burners for sure.
I was a little bit worried in real time that Burden was going to get called for holding.
Yeah, when something like that happens, it's like so open. Yeah. It's like somebody's probably holding.
But no, just clean, good blocking.
Good blocking
from our downfield receivers there. There was a few other just like missed opportunities. The touchdown to Norfleet that got called off because penalty on the formation.
The Luther Burden like tipped pass that I thought for sure he caught.
Yes. I think
that might have been the same drive as the Norfleet thing.
Maybe so, yeah. Super biased, obviously, but I thought even after the replay that I didn't think it was completely clear that the ball was touching the ground when it was like shifting around, but whatever. Yeah, that was almost an incredible play by Burden. And at some point in there, Graham Mertz is playing like Superman, and what does he do? It's like 3rd and 3, and we stop him, but no, he actually bursts through 2 Missouri defenders and gets a first down, huge first down in the moment.
Yeah, like good Lord, he just like trucked through 2 linebackers.
Yeah, it was like the Missouri defenders hit him on either side like so simultaneously that their energy just like went into each other through him, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
They kept him upright by like
just about
being so balanced. But no good for Mertz. He's hurt.
Probably. And we didn't even know it until like a play or two later when he just handed the ball off and was like, nope, I'm hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was kind of a weird situation where he's like clearly can't play and he's jogging off the field and they're like, no, it's just sit down on the field so we have time to do our subs and everything. What was the guy's name? Max Brown, I think, was the backup that came in. And he was making some plays. And by this time, Missouri's defense is missing their starting linebackers.
Yeah.
Something awful.
Yeah, I think the backup quarterback that came in was a lot more mobile than Mertz was. And so, I mean, I kind of liked the matchup against Mertz. And honestly, he was playing very well. And if he plays the whole game, they might just pull that thing out. I don't know. But the backup quarterback was just a totally different style. He was like kind of tricking us with like the read option type stuff, and we were just biting on it, and then he would take off running, and so he actually was pretty good when he came in, And I don't know, man. They were just doing like some motion that just was really confusing our linebackers, I think, and they really struggled.
Yeah, it looked like Florida's entire offense went into how can we manipulate these inexperienced linebackers into,
And it was working.
messing up and opening up the middle of the field.
Yeah.
And that stretch of the game was actually super fun to watch if you could just not think about the fact that Missouri's defense was getting gashed over and over again, because the Weiss touchdown was in there, but then on either side of that, like Florida was kind of just moving the ball at will. ETN was breaking off huge runs and run after the catch. Yeah, turned into a little bit of a shootout.
Yeah, we talked about Ricky Pearsall last week, and he had some huge plays. So, yeah, I mean, we knew they had some weapons. I mean, I predicted the game would be pretty high scoring. I feel like even after I predicted that, I was like, I don't know why I did that. But it kind of ended up going that way.
Yeah, you said 37-30.
And I don't know, it just felt like one of those weird games where, I don't know, we're coming off a huge win against Tennessee. Florida hasn't really done anything, but they are still a very talented team as far as like recruiting goes, and they're playing for bowl eligibility. They would love to ruin senior night, and you know, they came out and they were ready to go.
So when it was coming down to it, a huge play was Trevor Etienne, running out of bounds.
Yes.
So Florida is setting up maybe a game-winning drive here, and they're in field goal range. They're not trying to do anything too crazy, and he runs out of bounds to stop the clock with like a minute 40 left.
I think we only had one timeout left
Missouri,
at that point.
Yes. And that timeout ended up being pretty clutch later. So Florida kicks a field goal to go up 1-2, and Missouri gets the ball back a minute 40, and here we are again. The ball is in Brady Cook's hands in a go win the game drive situation. And when have we seen this before? Well, you and I just went back and looked at the last couple seasons, and this year against Kansas State, this year against LSU, this year against Georgia, in the fourth quarter, the ball is in Brady Cook's hands with a chance to win the game. And we actually had to refresh our memory a little bit on the Kansas State game because obviously you just remember the 61-yard kick and the confusion right before the kick where everything was going bad. But he did have 5 completions on that drive that started at Missouri's own 18-yard line. And so in the narrative of this season for Mizzou football, it feels like that part of that game-winning drive gets, at least for me, I was kind of overlooking that, forgetting that Brady Cook was pretty instrumental in getting them to the spot where they needed to be to kick the field goal.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people would probably agree that Brady Cook has not been super clutch in these moments where we really needed him, even going back to last year. Yeah. Last year, some of the games that we won, it was like we got ahead, we hung on for dear life, and hopefully we just did enough because we're not going to score any more points. And that worked in a few of those games. This year, they're like you said, there's been opportunities where we're behind with one last drive to make something happen. And Kansas State worked out, but it almost didn't. And LSU and Georgia, it did not. So against LSU, he had at least one opportunity to drive down and take the lead and kind of just fumbled it away, literally.
Yeah.
Against Georgia, driving to take the lead, throws the worst interception you've ever seen. So, like, Brady Cook took the step that we wanted to see him take this year as far as just, like, elevating his play and getting us to more wins and getting the ball into the hands of the playmakers, but still just hasn't quite had that clutch gene and hasn't quite had that, like, moment where we're like, yes, he won us the game.
Yeah.
And so this was kind of like, here we go again, where I don't feel great about Brady Cook leading us down the field and getting us to where we need to go because he just hasn't really done it yet.
And it starts out not the best. I mean, they get a first down, but then kind of maybe questionable play calling a little bit. Like we're taking deeper shots that don't seem super necessary.
This was one big thing a problem I had with the Georgia game as well. And it actually worked out okay. but those like really low percentage throws to like the back shoulder, Theo Weiss, like 20, 30 yard. And Theo Weiss actually caught a couple of them in the Georgia game. But it's like they're just not using the middle of the field at all. Mm-hmm. They're so worried about the clock maybe that they're not using the middle of the field at all. And it felt like the defense was just kind of sagging to the outsides.
Yeah.
And finally, on the fourth down play, they went back to the middle of the field, and it was like not wide open, but about as open as you can possibly get for a defense that's in like a prevent type situation. Yeah. So I was amazed that Burden was that open, but it's like, I don't know, like the play calling was so bad before that, like leading up to the fourth down. I was like, what are these routes? There's nobody going across the middle of the field.
Yeah.
There's nobody doing just like an easy, 10, 15 yard route and sitting down. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to get in like a fourth and long situation. Just let's get some kind of chunk here.
Yes.
And it never happened.
And I believe there was a penalty maybe on first or second down there. I think Cook completed a pass to Schrader for like -2 yards.
Yeah. So like, don't even catch the ball.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, sets up 4th and 17. And the call was great from Joe Tessitore. But Brady drops back to pass, and I honestly, I'm not thinking anything's going to happen here. Like we've just seen him throw, I think 3 incomplete passes in a row, 2 at least, and that one to Mookie, he's feeling it a little bit. It feels like after that's incomplete, it's really coming down to this, but. Luther Burden, somehow they don't cover him in the middle of the field, and he just kind of 3 or 4 yards past the sticks just sits down in the zone, and Cook throws a strike, and we got a first down. This game is still alive. I honestly did not think it was going to happen.
I was genuinely shocked.
And so technically they're in field goal range at that moment, but it would have been a 58-yard field goal.
Like, are we doing this again?
Yeah, I did not necessarily want to.
There wasn't much time left either.
Exactly. And we used the last time out to set up that fourth down play.
Mm-hmm. They got a couple nice chunk plays after that too. I think there was 2 more kind of short completions that they got out of bounds and stopped the clock. And it was like perfect play calling and game management like after the 4th and 17 play. It was kind of like, okay, deep breath. We pulled off the impossible. Now it's like, let's just do our thing, and they were fine.
Yeah, 2 more first downs, sets up basically a chip shot, 30-yard field goal for the win, and Mevis nails it, and the seniors get to have a rock. Which, do you think they really, they can't withhold a white rock from the seniors just because they lose one game?
Oh, they will.
Will they?
I have no idea.
Somebody's got to let us know how that works. Yeah, I guess. I imagine like after bowl season or something, it's like, okay, guys, you can get your rock now.
Yeah, we'll send it to you. We'll send a rock to you at least.
Just crazy little comeback there. It felt like we were finally going to see the game where they just couldn't pull it out in a game that they should win, and like possibly now. This is where the season stops being special. Yeah, is how it kind of felt.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. It was like, that's all I could think was like, this is a very special season, but it's very much on the line right now. If we lose this game, it becomes just another season 10 years from now. Are we remembering it? Probably not really. Maybe what if?
Yeah.
But maybe we're thinking of it as a season that kind of like turned the corner for some better seasons to come, but in itself, it wasn't very special, but I think that's still intact.
Florida did the hook and ladder play to end the game.
Oh my gosh!
And then
on a play that I didn't think was going to exist.
Yeah. They had to do it twice. Like there was still one that they first play Florida runs. It's just an incomplete pass. Mm-hmm. Like the first guy that's supposed to start the laterals and stuff doesn't catch it.
So they try it again.
And but everybody thought the game was over, but there was still 1 second left. And I've never seen anything quite like that. Drink is already in his like post-game interview on the sideline for ESPN.
Yeah.
Speaking of ESPN though, I feel like I talk bad about ESPN a lot and like the broadcasts and stuff on SEC Network, which are sometimes absolutely abysmal.
Yeah.
But to get the ESPN proper prime time slot with someone like Joe Tessitore on the call, it felt like a big moment. Somebody on Twitter was mentioning that ESPN with their camera setups and stuff like actually captures the atmosphere of Faurot Field better.
100%. I was thinking that during the game was they have so many different shots that like I don't know, I felt like the crowd was really being showcased in the broadcast, and like on CBS or just SEC Network or something like that, it's usually just like one static shot like from the overhead. But the ESPN broadcast was like kind of this like field angle where it was like kind of looking at the ball, and you could see the crowd in the background going crazy and stuff. They had a lot of different looks that they were showing, and I thought I 100% agree. Thought it kind of showcased the atmosphere really well.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Jesse Palmer fan, but as far as like college football color commentators, he just lays low for the most part and isn't trying to do too much.
Yeah.
And so that's appreciated. Joe Tessitore, though, he's a legend. So Missouri is 9-2, 5-2 in SEC play, and once again number 9 in the college football playoff rankings. Which we talked about last week, all the potential upsets that were long shots, but would have
None
been
of them
nice.
happened.
Nothing happened. Looking. This time last week, looking ahead, it was like, if I had to bet, the Missouri being number 9 again seems like the most likely thing.
Yep. Florida State had a horrific injury to their quarterback. Man, that is awful.
And the committee bumped Washington ahead of them, which Washington did have a nice win over Oregon State.
Yeah.
But what a kind of like insult to injury to be
Literally
4th and then lose your quarterback. And if you're a Florida State fan, it has to feel like the committee is being like, well, we're going to just bump you to 5th so that we don't have to deal with the fact that this undefeated team lost their quarterback, and we don't actually want that in the playoffs.
No, I think 100% that's what it is. And I think they would tell you, maybe not in that way, but they would say this Florida State team is different.
Yeah.
They don't have their star quarterback.
Yeah.
That's very unfortunate that he got injured, but this is who they are now, and they're not as good of a team. And I don't know, how do you feel about that? Like same thing with I heard somebody talking about this, but same thing with Michigan. It's like they don't have Harbaugh.
Yeah.
And we're going to take that in. The committee will take that into consideration, that this is a team without their head coach, and whether you like it or not, we're trying to decide who the best team is, like depending on who's playing.
Well, I think the committee lucked out by Washington, but they still have 4 undefeated teams.
Yeah.
So
is Florida State undefeated?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's still 4 undefeated teams ahead of Florida State now. So it's like, okay, I guess, you got to, if there's 5 there's not going to be, because Ohio State and Michigan still have to play each other. But if that happened to Mizzou, I would be livid. Like I completely, I think, am on the side of Florida State fans who, if they don't understand how your undefeated team, gets bumped out of the top 4, that's rough. But I feel like it's just the playoff committee is like, well, we just rewarded Washington for this nice win over whatever, 11th ranked Oregon State. So
that was kind of like an easy way for them to move them in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to think if they would have just played any other random opponent, like what would have happened there.
Yeah.
Because they would want to be switching that at some point.
Yeah.
And they needed a reason to be able to do it.
So that worked out well for the committee to just do that right away.
Florida State and Florida played this weekend.
Yeah.
We got that in Pick'em later, but I mean, Florida could probably pull that off.
Sure. Yeah. Florida State was playing Cupcake, so
they struggled with it.
Well, they
at first.
Yeah. There was definitely an adjustment, but I can't even imagine the mindset of the players in that situation. Just you'd have to try as hard as you can to just pretend like that didn't happen.
Yeah, not only just he just left the game with an injury, it was like a gruesome injury that's scarring my brain now.
Yes. And
it's like you're one of your best friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be an awful thing to witness.
And then if you even start to think about the ramifications of your perfect season so far.
Yeah.
Ugh, jeez.
Yep, that's rough.
Yeah, it makes me hesitant to root for Florida over Florida State, even though
You're feeling bad for him.
I am feeling bad for Florida State. But if Missouri still has the opportunity to jump them in the rankings, then it is what it is. We've reached the point in the season now with this Mizzou team where we've got almost a season's worth of stats here in front of us, and Missouri's offense is putting up some numbers. And I did some digging into the Mizzou record books, and I wanted to update everyone on where Cook, Schrader, and Burden stand. It was tweeted out earlier by the Mizzou football account that it's the fourth time, I think, in Mizzou history that we've had a 3,000-yard passer, 1,000-yard rusher, and 1,000-yard receiver in the same season. And so I was looking at Brady Cook now sitting at just over 3,000 yards passing, 67% on a completion percentage, and 9.3 yards per attempt, 25 total touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He's 15th nationally in passing yards and 3rd in the SEC. And looking at the record books for Mizzou, he's now 7th all-time in Mizzou career passing yards. And he has now just the 10th 3,000-yard passing season in Mizzou history. So with a regular season game and a bowl game left, he could rise up the leaderboards there.
Yeah, and the career yardage thing, he's got a shot to move up quite a bit, assuming he has at least one more season left.
Right. Yeah. He could definitely do some damage there. Luther Burden now sitting at 1,142 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns. The yardage is good for 8th nationally and 3rd in the SEC. That is the 10th 1,000 receiving yard season in Mizzou history. He is now sitting at, and with the 1142, he's already at 4th most in a single season. 119 yards away from 2nd, 639 yards away from 1st. That Denario Alexander mark.
It's untouchable.
Sheesh. And he is 9th all-time in single-season receptions with 77.
Pretty good.
Yeah. For a true sophomore, he's tearing it up. And then last but not least, Cody Schrader sitting at 1,272 rushing yards and 12 touchdowns. Yards are good for 6th nationally, 1st in the SEC. Jaden Daniels is 2nd. I want to talk about him in a second, but Jaden Daniels 2nd in the SEC in rushing yards and 1st in passing yards. Schrader 6th most rushing yards in a Mizzou single season, and he is 332 yards away from 1st. He should, with 2 more games, including the bowl game, it looks like 3rd place should be pretty well locked up. Just needs 134 yards to get 3rd. But 332 to unseat Tyler Beatty, 1st all time. It's a tall task, but he could get close.
Obviously we loved Cody Schrader coming into the season, but I never would have guessed he would have this kind of year. Even just last year, he and Pete were pretty much 50-50 split on the carries, but he has become the workhorse this year.
Yeah, beginning of last season, it was, I don't even want to mention.
No, I was just like everybody else. In the preseason stuff, we were just saying, like, it's a nice story.
Yeah, it definitely felt like it was Pete and then everybody else last year going into the season. But yeah, it's been quite a season for the Missouri offense. These guys, when you have a quarterback, running back, and wide receiver trio that are filling up the record books, that's a fun time.
Yeah, you better go win 10 games if you're going to be doing that.
Exactly. All right. So the last game of the regular season at Arkansas, rivalry week. Arkansas is 4-7 on the season, 1-6 in SEC play. Started the season 2-0 with wins over Western Carolina and Kent State. And then they lost their next 6 in a row to BYU, LSU, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Alabama, and Mississippi State. Then they broke that streak with a win at Florida. Kind of weird. But I did think it was interesting in those 6 losses, they only lost those 6 games by combined 36 points. So obviously 6 points per contest there. And the LSU loss, I think that was only 3 on the road. Alabama, they only lost by 3 on the road. Ole Miss was 7 on the road.
It's kind of insane, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Arkansas's had a weird season. They've really dealt with a lot of injuries. They have one of the best running backs in the country in Raheem Rocket Sanders, if you know him by Rocket Sanders. And he's been hurt pretty much all year.
Not playing on
correct.
Friday.
Yes, he's out. He actually came back and played in their most recent game against Florida International, Florida International Airport. And I mean, really early in the game, I think first quarter, he injured his shoulder and I think has like a torn labrum. So he's had a really, really poor, just disappointing season for him.
Yeah.
But and he's a great player. So definitely Missouri not having to play against Sanders is nice for the defense. But they've got some good players. KJ Jefferson, we know what he's capable of. So this is not a walk in the park game whatsoever. Looking at their record, you might think it would be, but Arkansas, I don't know. I think you got to respect them.
Yeah, I think you're right. And yeah, those losses all being so close, it just, it kind of, I don't know. It's like obviously a worse season than Missouri last year. And KJ Jefferson being a senior who cannot return next year, it's kind of like, that just
I want to beat Missouri at least once, right? That's what he's thinking.
That's probably what he's thinking. But yeah, it adds to the disappointment for them just knowing they were so close in some of these games. And this was kind of like the last ride with your quarterback that has carried you to some big wins over his career. And I can only hope that, they can't become bowl eligible. So
nothing to play for there.
Nothing to play for. They're pretty banged up. What Jefferson's playing for NFL considerations, but
yeah,
if he was going to go pro, you feel like last offseason is the time to do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's a great pro prospect. He's just not a great passer. He can do it, and he's dangerous just because he can do everything, and eventually he's just going to break the big play. But definitely is most known for his rushing ability, which he will do a lot and can do it very well. He's very hard to bring down, but I'm not sure he's a pro prospect necessarily. But, you put a better supporting cast around him, I bet he has a pretty impressive year. And I don't know. I feel like Arkansas just didn't assemble a team that was going to compete. Like some of their wide receivers were brought up from like really low levels and just stories that you would have needed a miracle. I think like a Cody Schrader type situation almost.
Yeah.
Like maybe not from D2, but
right.
They just, I don't know. I feel like their team just kind of lacked talent and I don't know, with all of the injuries and stuff, they just did not put it together.
Yeah, so it's weird because even outside of their record, I'm not just looking at their roster and their stats and stuff. I'm not super scared of this Arkansas team, but what was going on in these games that they're hanging on against these more elite competition?
I know that it really is interesting, and it felt like they're going to get one of these eventually, and they did beat Florida.
Yeah,
and I hope they don't do that again, where it's like
beat Florida again,
pull off a win that they're like desperate for or something, but. I don't know. I think Missouri's going to take care of business for sure. It's on the road, but I really don't think it's going to be a loud environment by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, there might be more Missouri fans there. We'll see.
Something.
Wasn't there talk of doing like a tiger stripe?
Yeah,
in
they're
their
trying
stadium?
to stripe out the Razorback Stadium.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like the Razorback Stadium might be closer to us than Columbia. It's probably pretty close.
Yeah, it might be
perfectly even.
That Florida win for Arkansas was in overtime also. So they were very close to
lots of close games.
8-game losing streak there.
After
that, they got blown out by Auburn.
That's true. And Auburn then lost to New Mexico State. Make that make sense.
Sheesh.
Sam, the Pigman Pitman.
Yeah. He'll
Coming
be back.
back.
He's back, folks.
He's back, folks.
Here, Piggy.
Come on, Piggy.
Who was that?
That was the Arkansas athletic director. Hey, come on back.
Say, come on back, Sam. Like saying all the we just kind of spun a narrative there, about the close games and stuff. It's like you can see how maybe they fix some of these issues. Like he's very well liked by the Arkansas fans, and not that that necessarily matters for whether or not he deserves another year, but I think the fans probably wanted to see him come back. I think Missouri fans maybe do too.
Yeah, exactly. There was a little bit of talk about like some of these teams maybe, I can't remember, it's probably just something I saw on the internet, but like Missouri sticking with Drinkwitz through just 500 play. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we saw that it was working on the recruiting end, which Arkansas has had some decent recruiting classes with Pittman, but people were speculating like maybe Missouri's success with retaining Drinkwitz when it was maybe a little bit iffy last year, has that kind of inspired some of these other schools to just chill a little bit on the coaching carousel?
I mean, sometimes I've thought that. I mean, yes, can you just keep doing like the insanity thing where it's like you just keep starting over every season with the same coach and expecting it to just work out suddenly? But man, it takes a long time to get things going in a football program, and there's a lot of players on a football team, and just landing one recruit is not going to change your team very often unless it's Luther Burden. But it takes a long time to get the recruits you need, to get them into the system, to get them acclimated, and sometimes it takes a couple of years to get the young guys like into the physical shape they need to be in, all that stuff. So, I mean, I sometimes think, yes, coaches probably need a little bit more time for things to kind of pan out. But I don't know, man.
It obviously depends on like where your program is coming from. Yeah. Like, what is the recent history? Did this coach come into a terrible situation that they're having to rebuild?
Yeah, there's nuances with every situation, but it felt like Coach Drink's extensions, at least to us most of the time, like you could see why they did it.
Yeah.
And they kind of needed to instill confidence in him and in the recruits and all that stuff. So, but I don't know.
But just going back to Florida for a second with Billy Napier, and I feel like there was a little bit of if Florida loses out this season, is he on the hot seat and whatever? And I feel like Florida is another good example of a program that I think should not be looking to replace him quickly, because like last year for Florida, you're just riding the now I can't remember his name.
Anthony Richardson.
I wanted to say Anthony Robinson. The Anthony Richardson experience, just like get as many wins as he can lead you to, and then they basically overhauled the roster for more of a long-term rebuild moving forward.
Totally different style.
Exactly. So, and just the, Florida not having a ton to play for themselves, but then taking top 10 team on the road down to the last second, literally. I think that just kind of showed, exactly.
We're that top 10 team.
Oh, yeah. That just kind of showed that I think Billy Napier's going to stick around for a while in Florida. I don't see his seat being too hot.
I'm like, give coaches more time. I'm on that side. And then also I'm like, stop giving coaches these insane extensions also at the same time. I don't know where I fall. I'm all over the place. But because these extensions are just absolutely insane, where it's like, well, I don't have to do anything anymore. I'm about to be rich no matter what.
Yeah, that's true.
So I almost sometimes feel like those insane extensions are actually hurting the program.
Yeah.
Because now you're financially just... You're stuck no matter what.
Unless you're Texas A&M and somebody comes out on the field at halftime and presents you with like more than enough money to fire your coach, and then you do that one half of football later.
I suppose.
Not every school has somebody trotting out that kind of check at halftime, though. I don't remember how we got here.
It's just been a fun little chat, hasn't
it? Sam Pittman, he's returning. We like that, but what I'm more interested in is who's going to play quarterback after KJ Jefferson is gone.
Yeah.
That's going to be...
I think he still might have another year.
No way.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
As far as we know, everybody has another year.
Exactly. Just everybody's returning. Everybody could if they wanted to. I thought I've seen some discussion on whether or not he'll transfer after the season.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say whatever quarterback they have lined up after him, that Pittman's longevity at Arkansas will be directly tied to that person.
I agree.
So are we nervous about this game? Are we worried about an upset here?
I would
on
say
the road.
the only reason that I'm like nervous or worried about an upset is just because of the catastrophic, just absolutely the most embarrassing loss of all time. Because Arkansas at this moment in time is kind of our football rivalry, whether you want to accept that or not. It's kind of how it is right now. And
I reject it, actually.
that's fine. The fan bases are going at it all the time on Twitter and everything like that. It's, kind of your regional rivalry. And you have to win that, especially when they're 4-7 and they have nothing to play for. And
I say Georgia's our rival.
that's fine. So I would say that's why I'm nervous, is because if we lose this, holy cow, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And, like if Arkansas is the reason we don't go to a New York Six Bowl, I'm gonna be devastated.
Yeah, that would be devastating.
But I don't think we have to worry about that.
Now, looking at the injury report here, no Rocket Sanders, but Missouri, Chuck Hicks and Tyron Hopper questionable.
Yeah, the linebacker situation's a little scary. Like,
what's the plan if Hicks can't go?
I believe it is Damian Wilson and Newsom.
Yeah,
that
Newsom
will be
was out there
starting most likely. This team needs Hopper to come back.
Yes.
If Hopper's in there, I'm feeling good.
Javon Foster questionable.
It's not great.
Ennis Rakestraw questionable.
Not great. Ennis is always questionable. He'll be fine.
That's true. Cook, Burden, Schrader, and Realist George probable.
Okay.
Don't worry about them.
All right.
I'm just thinking about, well, it's kind of like a trade-off there. They don't have the running back. We don't have our linebackers.
Well, that's all part of the show. They'll be fine, but you got to at least put it out there that they're not 100%, and just in case we lose, or just in case it's a close game. Like, oh, well, we were injured.
I don't. That wouldn't do it for me. But if that would make you feel better, that's good.
I'm just saying that's why they do it.
I see.
A little bit of PR for you.
Oh, of course. I'm a little bit nervous, but I think actually Missouri got their close win out of the way this past week.
I agree. I think the scary game against Florida, I do think helps them against Arkansas. They can't come in and sleepwalk. They gotta respect their opponent. I think they will. And we, like I said, we know what KJ Jefferson is, but he's kind of their whole team right now.
Coaches never want to be like pointing to some like thing at the end of the season that you're playing for. It's like, Coach Drinkwitz, go 1-0 each week. But the last game of the regular season, is that when you're finally able to be like, hey, look at what we're doing. We're trying to go get a win for a 10-win season and one of the most prestigious bowl games in the history of the program, at least in the modern era.
Yeah, I think you say those things.
Okay. Finally you can.
It's okay to just be like, okay, this is a very large moment.
Yeah.
Please win. Yes, I think you can say that.
Maybe he presents it with a little bit more confidence than you did. I was just like, please,
I'm desperate.
Yeah, please
don't lose
to Arkansas.
I can't go on if you lose this game.
They're not going to lose.
No, they won't.
Give me your prediction.
Give me 31-20.
31-20. That sounds really, really nice. Luther Burden, give me a nice balanced offensive attack from Missouri.
Too many weapons.
Another 300, 100, 100 game from the top three there.
Theo Weiss is going to be like, maybe, I don't know. Like, people are going to forget about Theo Weiss, I'm afraid, in 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Because we'll just be thinking about what Luther Burden accomplished, but he's been incredible.
Yeah, honestly, he's the type of player, like when we look back on this season, even right now, just trying to think back to one of the absolute very best, like number 2 wide receivers Missouri
when have we had a 1-2 punch like this?
Jeez.
Probably never, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And Mookie Cooper coming up clutch in late game moments all season long. Mm-hmm. It's a shame he doesn't have a touchdown yet.
Yeah, that's wild. Anyway,
I think Missouri's going to get to KJ Jefferson a little bit. He'll shrug off some tackles, but we'll sack him a few times, maybe force him into some bad throws. And Yeah, let me say Missouri wins this game 28-17.
Yeah, I mean, that was basically how we beat him last year. Was he had some plays where Jefferson had some plays where it's like, how did he get out of that? Or how did we not tackle him? But I think that pressure just adds up after a while. Like, I don't think it's just a per play thing. Like, after a while, that pressure starts to get to the quarterback's head. He did make some bad plays last year against Missouri, and I remember specifically Carnell had a clutch interception, and so I think that is the key.
Okay, Missouri's going to get that win and finish the regular season 10-2.
It's exciting.
Wow. Just got to finish strong.
Finish strong.
Been waiting for it all season.
Respect your opponent.
Yes. We're not scared. We're going to win.
Not at all.
Don't even trip. Okay, ready to pick the rest of these SEC games?
Mm-hmm. Wild slate on our hands.
9 games, I heard.
Mm-hmm. Rivalry week.
That's what they're saying. How'd we do last week?
Okay, last week, Kyle and the guest pickers got 5 points. Myself and Cam got 6 points.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tried really hard for that.
That brings our season totals to Cam has 65, the guest pickers have 69, I have 70, and Kyle has 71.
9 games. 9 games
A
this
lot
week.
can happen.
What are we doing after this week? We didn't decide that.
I
feel like we need to set.
We'll be able to pick the SEC championship game.
Okay, we're picking the. What are we going to do? Pick the 4-team playoff games and the New York Six Bowls or something.
Sure. Sounds good.
Sure.
And they're all just scored the same.
Maybe, yeah. Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
One more opportunity for me.
One last ride.
Sounds good. Okay, our guest picker this week is Josh.
Hey, welcome
Welcome in.
Josh. First game is number 12 Ole Miss at Mississippi State. Ole Miss is a 10-point favorite.
Egg Bowl.
That's what they call it. Mississippi State not winning this.
Bad.
Yeah. Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
Big.
Ole Miss all around.
Big.
Ole Miss. Big.
Up next is Kentucky at number 10 Louisville. Louisville is a 7-point favorite.
Now, there's been a little chatter on. I'm just gonna keep calling it Twitter. If you guys
Twitter.com.
remember, if you guys remember what Twitter is, it's that website. It's called something else now. I don't know. There was some chatter that Louisville would beat Mizzou by 2 touchdowns. That's what their Barstool account was saying. So that was. Some people want to play Louisville now in the bowl game.
I've got my sights set higher, honestly,
Me too.
personally, but
They're ranked 10.
Yeah,
But I agree with you.
that's fine, though.
They're probably going to beat Kentucky, though, right?
I would think so. Yeah, Kentucky.
I was watching a little bit of the Louisville game the other day, and like they don't play defense. It was just back and forth, back and forth.
Maybe we do want to play them in a bowl game.
Maybe.
Yeah, whatever. If we're going to play Louisville, they might as well beat Kentucky and have a better ranking
I'm with you.
when we beat them in a bowl game. So, yeah, give me Louisville.
Louisville all around.
What did Kentucky do last week?
They let me down. Is what they did.
Lost to South Carolina.
That's right.
Losers.
Wow.
Embarrassing.
Yeah. Couldn't be us.
Gonna lose pick'em for me.
Texas A&M at number 14 LSU. LSU is an 11.5-point favorite.
You gonna get frisky?
No.
Me either. I'll go LSU.
I'll go LSU.
LSU all around.
Who's the next head coach of Texas A&M going to be?
I have no idea.
Somebody, I can't remember who it was. Not worth bringing up. Move on. Never mind.
Onward.
Number 8 Alabama at Auburn. Alabama is a 14.5-point favorite.
The Iron Bowl.
Got 9 games, but none of them are close.
Yeah, I sure wish Auburn was better than they are.
Well, they beat Arkansas.
Wow, that's true. I forgot about that. I'll take Alabama.
Yeah, same.
Alabama all around.
It's a slow build-up.
Next up is Vanderbilt at number 21, Tennessee. Tennessee is a 26.5 point favorite.
Gotta wait a little longer.
All right. I'll take Tennessee.
I will take Tennessee in this game.
Tennessee all around. Number 1, Georgia at Georgia Tech. Georgia is a 24.5 point favorite.
Georgia Tech get that triple option going. Maybe do something.
They might do it.
No, probably not.
They won't.
I'll take Georgia.
I'll take Georgia.
Georgia all around. Number 5, Florida State at Florida.
Okay, here we go.
Florida State is a 6.5 point favorite.
Now, I feel like the narrative I'm building here
You have
is Billy Napier. You know,
You've been a fan all year.
Oh. What? Okay, I'll do it. I'll take Florida.
Wow.
Producer Cameron's just like, oh, okay. He was like, his eyes got really big.
I better be the only one that picks them.
I think you will. I'll give. Man, I don't know. I actually think it's a sneaky good pick.
Could be. Josh takes Florida State.
I think Florida's really gonna want to win.
That's not fair. Let me be on an island here.
Okay, great. I will. Give me Florida State. I don't want to throw this thing away.
I'm going to catch you all. Are you thinking it? You pondering
He's
it?
thinking.
I'm thinking about it.
It's not worth it.
All right, give me Florida State.
Okay.
Why do you want to be on an island so bad? You want to be like legendary for picking it?
You
Even though I
want
made
to
you
get
do
them.
it.
He wants those comeback points.
Yeah. I'm coming back.
Only down by 6.
Yeah. It's happening.
Got to start somewhere. Next up is number 24, Clemson at South Carolina. Clemson is a 7 point favorite.
You guys got
They
to
were
go
saying
first.
they were saying Clem sucks.
Who was?
The South Carolina fans I saw.
Oh.
They were saying Clem sucks.
Pretty clever. South Carolina beat Kentucky. They're on a roll. They're trying to save Shane Beamer's job.
They're doing it for Shane.
Yeah, Beamer ball.
Give me Clemson.
I'll take Clemson.
I'll take South Carolina.
Josh takes Clemson.
I'll take South Carolina.
You were about to be so buried after this week. All you need is a chip and a chair.
Exactly.
Last and certainly least, number 17, Iowa at Nebraska. Nebraska is a 2.5 point favorite.
I had to double check this because I was like,
That can't be right.
Nebraska has 5 wins. They're not even bowl eligible, and they are
Not
favored.
yet.
Not yet. They're favored against the number 12 team in the country, who has like 9 wins or something.
I was like going to play in the Big Ten championship game.
The over under, or there's like 20 implied points or something in this game. It's like the most insane thing ever. I legitimately don't know what I want to do.
Everybody else go first.
Josh takes Nebraska.
I feel you have to go Iowa here. Like they're the better team and they're the underdog. Like
Okay, give me Iowa.
I have to go Iowa.
I have to go Iowa.
Okay.
I did just enough to set me up to where these bowl games are going to do it for me.
Okay.
What are you thinking, Producer Cameron?
Nothing. I'm staying pat.
Okay.
I don't know. It's your it's your boys.
Yeah, I wasn't questioning that one. I'm not picking that.
Oh, okay. That's like the easiest stuff to pick ever.
Good luck, Josh.
Good luck, Josh.
See you on the gridiron.
You could definitely you could do some damage.
Oh, man, yeah.
All right. Are we done here?
I hope
Sure.
so.
I hope so.
Special thank you to our Patreon supporters at the $10 level and above: Britt Treese, Brian Smith, Ryan Demore, Ben Smith, Parker, Daddy JD, Tim Keynes, Tyler Harsel, Brandon Groffalo, Brandon Hanks, Matthew Tilley, and Luis Hernandez. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, and happy Thanksgiving. You can find this podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We are on Twitter at Mizzou Sports Pod, and you can email us at MissouriSportsPod@gmail.com.
You can find our t-shirts and stickers on our online shop, MissouriSportsPod.BigCartel.com.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We will see you next week after winning.